Okay. All right. So let me start off with, the purpose of this particular call and want to make sure that everybody's aware of all the different other calls that we provide here at Mortgage Coach so that you continue to learn. So if you come to our website, mortgagecoach.com, go to lender services over here, and go to the calendar. This particular workshop that we're on right now is our Wednesday Black Belt, Mortgage Coach Black Belt training. And in this particular workshop, our goal is to discuss and share with you different strategies that you could utilize when having different conversations with your clients based upon what their needs are. And also, what's going on in the market right now, the different market conditions that could potentially you could use Mortgage Coach to help communicate with your borrowers and paint the picture that will help them see the best loan option for them. So Black Belt workshop. And then every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, we have an intro to Mortgage Coach workshop. So for somebody that's just getting started with Mortgage Coach and you need like step one, how do I build a Mortgage Coach presentation? This is going to be an excellent workshop for you to attend, and you can attend it as many times as you wish. And then every Thursday, we have a trainer available to answer your questions. That's all they do is they field your questions. So the more questions that you come with, the better for you and the better for everybody that's on the call. But this particular call, and I'll spend a little bit more time here and show you some additional resources here, is Black Belt training. So we call it Black Belt training is because it's a step, I guess, above, this is how you do the nuts and bolts of building a presentation. It's more of, how do you have conversations with your clients and how do you paint certain pictures for your clients using a Mortgage Coach presentation? So a lot of great examples here from top producing mortgage professionals. And the benefit of coming to this particular location in our webpage is you get to hear the interview our CEO Dave Savage did with the top producing mortgage professional. So you get to hear the scripting that they're using with their clients so that you can understand, how they're having the conversation that they are with their borrower, the talking points that they're using. You don't have to go verbatim, right? You want to make it your own, but some really good scripting examples. And so you get to hear the interview, and then you also get to see or get an example of the originator, the loan professional's total cost analysis presentation that they shared. This is an example of a strategy that, and this is one that we could potentially cover. So this is Amber with Guild Mortgage. And when she's having conversations with her clients, they might be reaching out to Amber for, say, a refinance transaction. Well, obviously, you got to give the client what they want. So she has a conversation with them about, here's your current loan. This is what you could do if you want to refinance your loan. Then she shows them or asks them, and this is where the strategy comes into play, is how does your current home fit your needs now? How does your current home fit your needs? And what she's finding is that when she asks that question and she incorporates that into her discovery phase and working with her clients, she's getting at the time, she was getting 1 out of 5 people responding with, this home just doesn't meet my needs right now. I need another office or another bedroom because both myself and my wife are working from home now. I've had another child, or I want a home in a different school district, or whatever the case is. So then what she does is she utilizes the move up strategy. And the move up strategy shows them that if you sell your current home and you take the equity that you have in your current home and apply it towards the down payment on another property, this is what your new monthly payment would look like. And in this case, the conversation that she had with the borrower was that they didn't want to put all of the money from the sale of their current home down on the new property. They wanted to keep a little bit of money in reserves just so that they'd feel a little bit more comfortable about, the current environment and what's going on and everything. So in this particular example, they only put 5% down, and then they put the additional money into an investment account. And I don't know exactly, I'll have to take a look and see here in the more info button. the rate of return that she used for this particular scenario, but it just paints the picture for them as to how they could benefit in using Mortgage Coach to not only tell the borrower, but paint a picture for them that maybe they didn't even consider. And then the really cool thing about this particular strategy is she's able to take that person that's looking to purchase a new home and give that referral to one of her realtor partners. The realtor gets a listing out of it and potentially another commission on the purchase of the other home. So it's a win for Amber's realtor partners as well as the clients. So this is what a strategy is, and how you can utilize it to have different conversations with your borrowers, paint the picture for them so that they can see how their life can be changed with moving up and getting the home of their dreams. So that's how you use Mortgage Coach to help paint that picture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch a poll for you folks, and it's going to have about 10, 12 different strategies that you could utilize. And you guys control it, whatever strategies that you want to see. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. I'll give you guys a few moments to respond to that. And the quicker you guys get through that, the faster we get to sharing these different strategies with you. First question is in regards to, how many Mortgage Coach presentations that you built. So if you can go ahead, and if you're a white belt and you built just a few, that's fine. Just want to know where you're at so I can kind of guide the content to, where you're at with Mortgage Coach. So the faster you can respond to that, the quicker we can get going here. All right, let's see if we can get a few more people to respond to the poll here. There we go. Good. We almost got about 75%. Again, this is all about you folks, how we can share the strategies that are going to be most important to you. All right, I think I've got a pretty good idea here of where we're at. So I'm going to go ahead and close the poll. Almost everybody's responded. Everybody's responded. Awesome. Okay. Let me go ahead and end the poll. And let's just take a quick look at where everybody's at here. Okay, so it looks like for the majority of people here are very new to Mortgage Coach. So again, in this particular call, it's how we're going to have different conversations using Mortgage Coach with the clients. And each of the presentations that I'm going to be sharing with you, I'll make sure that I'll put in the chat area for you so that you'll be able to get a copy of the strategy that we're going to go through so that you can utilize it. You can put it in your own Mortgage Coach account. And if it's something that's going to be useful for you and your clients, you have an example and you can go ahead and duplicate the presentation. Okay, so let me go ahead and take a quick look here as far as the strategies that are most important. Okay, it looks like purchase presentations. Okay, all right, and cash out refis for debt. Okay, all right, let's go ahead, and I do think that I should probably cover one more strategy that may be applicable for everybody, and I'd like to get your feedback on this too. When I use the phrase appraisal gap, is that something that you're familiar with? And is that something that is happening in your market? So if you could raise your hand or put something in the chat area, when I say appraisal gap, does that mean anything to you? Is it happening in your market? And if I can get some feedback, yes, no, okay, quite a few hands are going up. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and share what this presentation is, because I want you to be able to utilize it to, to help yourself when the time comes. And if you're in a hot market and you're working with buyers that are getting frustrated, and you want to show them, how, if they wish to, how much they could potentially bid up above the list price a home is, and what it's going to have, what impact it's going to have on their monthly payment. So you're getting your borrowers prepared in a hot market here in California. I mean, Texas, Florida. I mean, it's happening throughout the entire country. And if it hasn't gotten to yet, if things continue where they are, I mean, it's going to be all over the whole country. So something that you want to be prepared with, and so prepared to help your borrowers with as well. So for those of you that are new to Mortgage Coach, you can see the website that I'm going to log into this particular Mortgage Coach account. It's ae.mortgagecoach.com. AE stands for Advice Engine. We call the Mortgage Coach system the Advice Engine. So I'm going to go ahead and log in here. And I'm going to start off with this particular presentation because I think this is something that, like I said, you want to be aware of, and also how to prepare your borrowers. And then also it helps your realtor partners because they know that you have prepared your borrower, that should they wish to bid up the property, what can they bid up to? And they know that you're going to be able to close the deal. So it helps with confidence, not only with your borrower, but your realtor partners with you as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and put this link in the chat area for everybody. I think this is the easiest way. Like I said, I want you folks to have samples of the presentations that I'm sharing with you. And there we go. So I want to make sure that you have a sample of the presentation. And then also, I want to be able to walk you through a presentation as if you were a borrower. And the reason that I want to do that is because a lot of people don't know that this feature is available in Mortgage Coach. So when you send, or the way that you get the presentation in the hands of your borrower is you send them the link to your Mortgage Coach presentation. The Mortgage Coach presentation we call the total cost analysis, or TCA. So when you hear somebody that's a big Mortgage Coach user talk about total cost analysis, or TCA, this is what they're referring to, the presentation that they send their clients. And the way that they get it in their hands is by sending this link. So now I put that link in the chat area for everybody. So what I'd like you folks to do is go ahead and click on that link, because I want you to have a sample of this presentation. And I also want to walk you through the presentation as if you were, a borrower, so that you can understand it and see from their view. Now, when you send a presentation to one of your borrowers, you're going to get confirmation that the borrower has viewed the presentation. So if you take a look up here in the top right-hand corner, see where it says Views 1. So I know that out of everybody in the workshop at this point in time, there's only one person that's clicked on the link that I placed in the chat area. I'd like to get a few more of you to do it, because again, it's going to help you two ways. I'm going to be placing these links in the chat area. And, oh, my apologies. I sent it. Thank you, Tim. I sent it only to the panelists that are on the call. There you go. So now it's to the attendees and panelists. Tim, thank you so much for speaking up. Okay. So you get a copy of it, and then also you get to see how, when you walk through the presentation, you can walk a borrower through this using this feature. So when you're working with a client, you built your Mortgage Coach presentation, and then you want to go over it with the borrower. What a lot of top producers do is they send the presentation to the borrower just prior to getting on in a meeting with them. And a lot of top producers are using like Zoom right now. Zoom, GoToWebinar, WebEx, some type of webinar-based format where they're able to interact with the client as they're presenting loan options. Now, if you're not doing that, completely fine. You can do this while you're over the phone too, but you want to send the link to the decision maker and decision makers. Try and get all of them on the call together so that you don't have to deal with, oh, well, let me talk to this person or let me talk to that person. Get all the decision makers on the call, send everyone the link, and then you could go through and walk them through the loan options that you think are best using this format. And it gives you the ability to get live feedback, instant feedback while you're working with the client. So I'm going to begin by clearing out all the highlights on this particular presentation. So whatever I do on my screen, I'm driving the conversation to key areas that I want to have a conversation with. So I could proactively guide the borrower to, like, this first product option. So this appraisal gap strategy is preparing your borrower to know what they could potentially bid the property up to and what may happen if the appraisal doesn't keep pace with what the actual contract price is. So here we go. We'll walk you through this. So borrower's interested in a property. It's listed for sale at $475,000. You paint the picture for them as to what their monthly payment would look like at a particular interest rate and term here. So I'm just clicking on these details as I'm doing this. It's highlighting those same features on the borrower screen while I'm having a conversation with them. Now, they get excited, they fall in love with the home, and then they bid the price up. They bid the price up to $500,000. So everything's good. And I purposely made this presentation very, very basic, meaning that I didn't put closing costs in it. I didn't put monthly costs in it because I wanted everybody to understand the math of how this works. So they bid up the property to $500,000. They go $25,000 over the list price. Now, everything's fine because they have roughly about $100,000, maybe a touch more than $100,000 to bring in. And the payment's very, very close to what their budget is. So everything's great, right? They're bringing in the cash. They're bringing in $100,000. They're getting a loan for $400,000. The seller's going to get $500,000. Well, now the appraiser goes out and appraises the home for $25,000 less than the list price. So, of course, you have to use the lower of the two. So you're going to use the appraised value. And in doing that, well, how is that going to have an impact on the borrower? How is that going to have an impact on the cash that they're going to need to bring in? And you can see here, using the appraised value of $450,000, they're bringing in $100,000, and they're also securing a loan amount in $400,000, and this $3,480. Well, what is that? That is single premium MI. So what you're doing is you're keeping the loan amounts about the same as where they're at. You're going to provide them with an option, either single premium MI for those of you that can utilize that particular product option. If you don't have access to it, then you can use monthly MI. And what I did is I created, when you look at the closing costs here, I created a fee in the closing cost details. I labeled it low appraisal amount to seller, $50,000. So they're still bringing in the same amount of money, the $100,000, but they're going up in loan to value, and they're using single premium MI here, the $3,480, to be able to accomplish that. And if you take a look, well, what is the net impact on their monthly payment? With it being financed, it increases their monthly payment by about a little less than $15. So that's huge for somebody. Now they're not having to bring in an extra $50,000. The difference between the appraisal and the sales price, they're not having to bring in that extra $50,000. They're prepared. You can prepare them, and before they even go out, paint the picture for them as to what potentially can happen, and show them, if you don't have the single premium MI, go ahead and offer them the monthly MI. And if you take a look here in the monthly cost section here with the payment breakdown, you can see there's the monthly mortgage insurance. amount in this particular case. So again, I purposely tried to make the math very simple. So you can see they're still bringing in the same amount of money. They're just going up higher LTV, and you're providing with some form of mortgage insurance to do it. But the goal is that you paint that picture for your clients so they understand. So any questions about that particular strategy before we move on? Does that all make sense? Pretty straightforward. But it's just about getting the borrower prepared and letting them go into that situation where they're more comfortable, confident, and then also the realtor having confidence in you that you have a solution in place and they're going to get the deal closed. Okay. All right. So there's one down. Let's go ahead and move on now to, I think, another one that's going to be very helpful for everybody would be within the Mortgage Coach Advice Engine now, we have a new debt consolidation presentation. So let me go ahead and open this one up. And again, I'm going to put it in the chat area for everybody to see. Let me get the link here. Now, how can this strategy be helpful for you? Well, 6 months ago, you folks probably had business kind of almost falling in your lap, right? People were very interested in refinancing because everything was talking about historic low interest rates in the 2% range and 30-year fixed rate mortgages. Rates have increased, right? Rates have gone up, and you still want to have the opportunity to have a mix of business, not be solely focused on refis, not be solely focused on purchase business, but a mix of the two so that you're getting the benefit and increasing your production, right? So now when you're having conversations with your clients and you're doing your discovery interview with them, you want to make sure that you're asking about, other obligations, debt. I used to call it Uncle Ed. They have equity. Everybody, well, I shouldn't say everybody has equity, but in the market that we're at right now, with home values increasing at, really, really fast pace, more people have equity and they definitely have debt, right? So you're able to serve them still with a refinance presentation, transaction rather, and help them consolidate that debt. So I'll walk you through this particular presentation as well. And I did put the link to it in the chat area for anybody that would like an example of it as well. So you have a conversation with a client, and they reach out to you and they share with you what their current situation is here. They currently have an interest rate, $375,000. You can see their current loan amount. This is their monthly payment. And they're reaching out to you for a refinance. And, maybe in the back of your mind, you're thinking, wow, you really missed the boat. You're about 2 or 3 months too late. We could have got you something in the 2% range. Now we're thinking, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, well, maybe 3.25%. We'll see, what we could do. That when you're having that type of conversation, you want to make sure you take it a step further and start looking, look at that credit report, ask questions about other obligations, because if you're going to reduce a rate by 0.5 point, that may not be enough to move the needle to want to have them reset the clock. You can see here that they've already currently invested 2.25 years in their existing loan. The savings opportunity would be $130, $129 roughly, and they'd reset the clock. That may not be enough to move the needle for them to want to do a transaction. So you might, explore the option. In the past, when you were using Mortgage Coach, you can see here, well, if you're going to do a cash out refinance, it's going to have an impact on the rate. In this instance, I said 0.25% greater rate than the rate term. So now they're really only dropping the rate 0.25%. And what's the impact on the monthly payment? Well, in the past, you would show that they are in fact, going to get $30,000 cash out to wipe out some credit cards and other items. And what's the impact on the monthly payment? Well, it actually goes up. If you're using Mortgage Coach prior to the debt consolidation presentation, it actually goes up by almost $50. And then if you come over here and you take a look, it doesn't really paint a very pretty picture. It looks like in the first 36 months, it's going to actually cost you more than, what it's really going to help you accomplish. So now we have the debt consolidation presentation and showing somebody that if they finance, in this case, I label this product finance all debt, they're actually going to be able to save over $1,000 a month. That's the impact that it's going to have. And in the first 36 months, it's going to help them save almost $7,400 in interest paid, because now when they click on this button down here, they're going to be able to see, the different components of their debt, how much credit card debt, they have an automobile that they'd like to get paid off, how much is allocated towards their mortgage, what their current loan situation looks like, and what their new loan situation would look like. And you always want to put together a money strategy for them. In this case, the first time that I'm going to share this with you, it's a helpful strategy. They're going to save $3,200, but I want to show you the next step that you want to do when you're putting together a presentation like this, so that you're adding more value for yourself and for them to see, and make it more beneficial for them to want to do a debt consolidation. Obviously, a huge impact on their monthly payment, right? Because here's their monthly payment that's including, an automobile and 3 credit cards. You can see that are going to be paying off here: a Visa, Discover, MasterCard. So all the debts that they're going to pay off totals about $30,000. You can show them how it's itemized. You can show them both short-term and long-term scenario, but you really want to add more value and create a money strategy for them that's going to help you and them see the value in doing a refinance. So that's where you come over. And if you look at this particular product option here, I labeled it 36-month plan, because oftentimes when you ask a borrower that has debt, do you have a plan to get out of debt? What is your plan to get out of debt? Most people, they don't have a plan. They were looking at you to provide a solution where they could take the savings, the refinance, and take that $129 and use that to knock down some of the bills. But when you show them the debt consolidation here and you put together a strategy, in this particular strategy, they're going to be saving $1,024.60. Well, in this particular strategy, you show them that they maintain the same payment that they're currently making now. So they maintain the same payment for a period of 36 months. Well, what is that going to do for them? It actually will help them. And if they continue to do it for the life of the loan, they'll actually get the loan paid off in 14 years. So they'll be completely debt-free in 14 years. That's kind of a tall thing to ask somebody, but at least you're able to paint the picture. And I mean, if they are able to do that, you can tie it into looking down here. I mean, that's going to save them over, what's that? The differential between this number and this one, what is that? 108, about 100, we'll call it $120,000 in interest. So if they utilize that plan, and if you take a look at the debt consolidation presentation now, look at how the strategies changed. It would save them $122,000. I was just trying to guess there. It'd save them $122,576 in interest, and they'd have the loan. They'd be debt-free in 15 years. But not everybody's going to be able to do that, right? Because that payment's probably, they would really appreciate that savings. Now, if they were to do it for just 36 months, if you take a look at the presentation here, where it says balance remaining, you could see that this is their current loan. So if they keep their current loan and they keep chugging along with their current loan, in 3 years, this is what the loan balance will be. But if they use that strategy for just 3 months, they'll pay off all their credit card debt, and they'll be right back on track with where their mortgage would be as if they didn't do the refinance. So it puts them right on pace in a period of 36 months. So this is how you can use a presentation like this for people that have debt, that don't have a plan, to show them a plan and give yourself the opportunity to create so much more value. The conversations that you have with your clients utilizing this, they're not getting the same information when they're calling somebody and within 5 minutes of calling somebody, they, what's your rate? What's your fees? I've got to call 3 other people. What's your rate? What's your fees? So using a strategy and putting together a process in place where you give yourself the opportunity and your borrowers the opportunity to walk through a presentation like this just creates more value, which helps you transition away. Because you can see here, you're really only reducing the rate by 0.25%, but look at the impact that you're having on this person. Look how much savings you're creating for them and what they could potentially accomplish. Now, they could also take that money and put it into an investment account, right? Or take a portion of that money and put it into an investment account so that they can earn interest rather than pay interest. That's another picture that you could paint using Mortgage Coach. Or if you wanted to show them, let me show you where you go in the advice engine here real quick. So in the analysis area here, there's a button called Adjust Reinvestment Strategy. So you can come over here and click on this. This is where you can add money towards principal reduction if you want to help them get debt free more quickly. So they were saving 1,024. I put that money in there. And then what that did is it shortened the term of their loan all the way down to 14.25 years. So you can see I took that out. Now they're just pocketing that money and they are resetting the clock back to 30 years. You could enter, say they only want to do it for a certain amount of time, like that period of 36 months, like I said. Well, you can come over here, click on this, and then now you're showing them that they're only going to do it for a period of 36 months. So how is that going to have an impact on their mortgage? Well, if you take a look, it's still going to help them get ahead, right? Ahead by about 2 years, and then they'll be right back on track with where their balance was at that time. So you have the ability to customize different things and paint that picture for them. What happens if they want to just take a portion of that money and apply it towards principal reduction? If they just want to take a portion of it, not the full amount, but let's say $500 towards principal reduction. Well, once I tab out of that, again, you could say that they're just splitting the difference. And again, that will help them get debt free. So whatever picture you need to paint, you could do that. If they want to take the other portion and put it into an investment account, let's put $500 in an investment account with a rate of return of, say, 5%. Well, in 30 years, and you can adjust that time frame, look how much money that they would have in that investment account. Over $400,000. Now, obviously 30 years is a long time, so you can come over here where it says long-term analysis, maybe just put 10 years in there and paint the picture of what 10 years would look like. So in 10 years, it'd be about a little over $77,000. So I just wanted to show you the different ways that you could utilize tools within the Mortgage Coach advice engine to advise your clients, and paint pictures and create more value for yourself that your competition is not having with them. And after you start having these conversations and getting good with them, your conversion goes up because you just create so much more value for yourself that, why would anybody go to somebody that, oh, this is your rate, your fees within 5 minutes, and they're not getting all this information. So there you go. So 2 presentations I think you definitely want to get very good at. 2 presentations that you want to get very, very good at. All right, a couple more presentations that I think that you're going to get, and a lot of you are asking for several of these. So we covered the debt consolidation, we covered the appraisal gap. Let's see what's next here. Let's do a cost of waiting, and then let's also do a rent versus own. So I want to share with you a couple other types of presentations that I think. Now, the reason I want to do the cost of waiting right now is right now you're working with buyers and they're putting in offers and their offers aren't getting accepted. And what happens is, people get frustrated. Your realtor partners, working with their buyers and the offer is not getting accepted, buyers getting frustrated, the realtor's hearing it. Hopefully the realtor's sharing that information with you, or you might be hearing it from the buyer as well. So a cost of waiting presentation can help you keep your borrower focused on purchasing now. The reason being is, here, let me just show it. Let me give, I start talking, I should just give you the visual and so that you can see it better here. Okay, let me pop it in the chat area here for you. And this is a very basic one. I would encourage you, let me put it in the chat here for you. There you go. I would encourage you to look at additional options for a cost of waiting presentation. And a good resource, if you folks didn't know about it, we have a mortgage coach productivity mastermind Facebook group. And if you have a Facebook group or Facebook page, I would encourage you to join the Facebook group so that you can ask questions of this group, a dedicated group of mortgage professionals that are willing to share content. And you ask a question of the group, and you get a lot of support, a lot of people helping you with this. And then our YouTube channel as well. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, just a great way for you to be able to get access to these people that are in all different types of markets. These mortgage professionals are in all different markets throughout the US. Some are going to be in similar markets to where you're at, and they just open up their playbook and they share information for you. So I just wanted to give you those two resources. So let's go into this cost of waiting presentation right now. Let me get rid of the appraisal gap. This is debt consolidation. Okay. Here's cost of waiting. Okay, let me clear this out. Okay, and you can do this as well with a rent versus own and a cost of waiting together. So you can actually put two strategies together, and that would be very helpful for somebody that's currently renting right now, that's saying, you know what, I'm just going to throw in the towel. I'm tired of trying to buy a home. I'm just going to continue to rent. So you could use this to paint the picture for those particular people. So in this buy now, and again, you could label these anything that you want, but I labeled this first product option buy now. And this is what the home buyer has the opportunity to take advantage of in the current conditions. So they could purchase a home, $400,000, interest rate 3.25%. This is what the monthly payment would look like. And I do believe, I think I set this one up with taxes. Yeah, taxes, insurance. I even put mortgage insurance here. Okay, so this is what they could potentially do. Purchase the home. That's what their monthly payment would look like. But they're getting frustrated, right? They're getting frustrated because they're putting in offers at this price level. They may be hearing things about, oh, we're in this bubble and the prices are going to start dropping here in a little bit. I think I'm just going to sit on the fence a little while and see if prices drop. Well, this particular product option paints the picture for the borrowers. If they were to wait and were to be able to secure a home that's similar to the one that they could potentially buy now, but it's illustrating to them what would happen if rates continue. I mean, they plateaued now for a little bit, but what happens if they continue to go up? What is the net effect to your monthly payment? Well, if you take a look, if they were able to get that price drop, but interest rates were to increase, what's the net effect? Well, they're going to save $3.71 in this particular example. So is it worth it to sit on the sidelines and, maybe or maybe not be able to get that property and then have rates go up for $3.71 a month? Maybe not, right? In this particular example, it shows, well, what happens if prices continue to rise? Prices continue to rise, but rates remain the same. So maybe they're lucky enough that rates have plateaued and they can get the same rate 6 months down the road. But what happens if prices continue to increase? Well, what's the effect on their monthly payment? It's gone up $100 now. It's gone up $99.17. So should prices increase, and even if rates plateau, now you're looking at spending $100 more per month than what you could take advantage of at this particular moment in time. Now, this is also important for you folks, because what happens if your borrower is on the cusp of an approved eligible cert and not having an approved eligible cert? They can't absorb an extra $100 payment hit to the monthly payment and still get an approved eligible cert. So that's another way of looking at it. Maybe they're going to have to settle and have to have a conversation with the borrower that, you know what, you can't, I mean, I don't think that you're going to find a 4-bedroom. You're going to have to settle for maybe a 3-bedroom or a home in a different area or whatever the case is. And this last scenario is worst case. I mean, what happens if prices go up and rates go up? What's the net effect on your monthly payment? So you're not saying that this is in fact going to happen, but you're painting the picture for them so that they are making an informed decision. If either of these things were to happen, is it worth that? Is it worth it for them to sit on the fence and wait and have this potentially happen to them? So it's, again, you're not telling them that this is going to happen, but it may potentially happen. And this is the effect that it could potentially have on you. So cost awaiting presentation that paints the picture. And like I said, there's a lot of different examples, different variations of it. This is a very basic one to help you. Okay. And then the next one that I said that I think that we should go through is the rent versus own presentation here. And like I said, you could do it in conjunction with a cost awaiting as well. Let me go to a rent versus own here. First time home buyer. Let's see here. There it is. And I'm going to put this link in the chat area too. Oh, and you know what? I'll put the link in here real quick. I think I should have also, I want to give you some more help on how you could build a debt consolidation presentation too. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned this right after doing the debt consolidation presentation. But I've been told that when you log into Mortgage Coach, when you log into the advice engine here, and you click on new client, there's available trainings right up here. You can see. So the way that I got here is I went to logged into the advice engine. I clicked on new client. And by the way, too, there's training videos right here. So for those of you that, I can't make that Monday 9 a.m. beginner workshop. Well, here's creating a purchase TCA, and it's 14 minutes, and you could watch it at 10 o'clock at night in your pajamas and learn how to build a purchase total cost analysis, step-by-step instructions. If you want to tackle a refi training, 10 minutes. Again, you can watch it when it's convenient and learn how to utilize it. But we're in the process of even taking it one step further and providing you folks with trainings. And if you click right here where it says available trainings, everybody, I'm told, will have the debt consolidation refinance training module in their advice engine. And the way that you would utilize this is it gives you step-by-step written instructions on how to build a Mortgage Coach total cost analysis presentation for a debt consolidation refinance transaction. You could take and pin this over here to your toolbox over here on the right-hand side, so it won't block your view of any of these items over here. And then you just progress. You just kind of move along from screen to screen. It'll walk you through what details that you have to put in there. And there's also video tutorials that'll walk you through. I'm a real visual person. You could tell me something, 4 or 5 times, but I learn better when I see things and when I actually do. So within the advice engine, if you're like me, you can just dive in and just watch a step-by-step and follow the instructions. And that will help you get that presentation under your belt for you. So just wanted to point out that resource for you. Okay, let's go back into the rent versus own. And I think I put that in the chat area for everybody. Yeah, it looks like 2 people are viewing it. Let me just make sure. 5M28. Yep. Okay. That's in the chat area. Okay. All right. So with a first-time home buyer or a rent versus own presentation, you have the ability to paint the picture for them. This is your current situation as a renter. So this is what your situation looks like as a renter. And some of you might be going, well, why is it 2045? Well, when you look at how I built this, $2,000 goes towards rent, $45 goes to interior content. So you have the ability to add anything that you think would be applicable for what the borrower's outgo is for their rental expense. And in this particular example, I'm comparing it to 3 down payment options. You could see 5%, 10%, and 20%. You folks are probably having conversations with buyers right now, and a lot of people still think, I have to come up with that 20% down payment. And actually, in some cases, putting 20% down may not be the most beneficial for them if they're not payment sensitive. The reason that I point that out is because in the presentation, I changed this analysis area here to reflect net worth. So when you're having a conversation with the borrower and they have, say, 20% down in some type of an investment account, and they're going to have to liquidate all or a good portion of that investment account, is that really the best thing for them to do? So now you can paint a picture for them and you could show them that, if you put down 5% and keep that additional money in your investment account, this may be a better way to go for you, because if you look at your net worth in 15 years, you could see that will be substantially higher than if you did actually liquidate that account and put 20% down. So it's based upon the borrower's goals. If they're payment sensitive, well, obviously the 20% down will provide them with a payment that's quite a bit less than just putting 5% down. I'll go in, I'll change this metrics here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to structure it all around this 20%. So I'll go into the advice engine, go into the analysis area here, and I'm going to make the short-term. Oops. Okay. Looks like it's a little bit different with the rent versus own presentation. But you can see I got to change the, rather than, you have choices. You have principal paid, net worth, or interest in MI. And I chose net worth for this particular one. And in the the investment, I think I put a rate of return of like 5%, just something really, really basic in this one. But again, having the conversations with your borrowers, painting a picture for them, guiding them through different options, because, this person thinks that 20%, I have to put the 20% down. They may not, know that you can put 10% down or 5% down, and what the effect would be on if they kept that money in an investment account, what it would do for them. So, again, just painting different pictures with your clients, not only being able to tell them, but by showing them that picture. And in the rent versus own presentation, there's 3 main talking points that I think that you want to get good at with your clients. So I would suggest, and let me just put in a couple examples in the chat area for you here of people that I think that do a really, really good job of having those conversations with their borrowers. One of which is Denise Donahue. She's branded herself as the mortgage nerd. Let me put her first-time home buyer or rent versus own conversation in the chat area for you. And the reason that I want to do this is because you'll get, like I said, you'll get the scripting that they use. There we go. So let me put this in here, and the 3 main talking points that both she and this is Kevin Watson. I'll put his in the chat area too. So the first video is going to be Denise Donahue. Let me just get through this commercial real quick. There we go. Let me put it in the chat here for you. So this is Denise Donahue. And then the next one is, this is Kevin Watson. And the main talking points. I just want to make sure that you get their scripting. Okay. So when you send somebody a mortgage coach presentation, a rent versus own, one of the main talking points that you may or may not be aware of is the tax benefit. Some of you might be comfortable having conversations with your borrowers about the tax benefit. Some of you may not. So I want to point out that you do not, let me repeat that, you do not have to include this row if you're not comfortable or you don't see that it is a tax benefit for the borrower. So if you don't want to bring that in the conversation, you don't have to include this. But in this case, you can see that it does benefit the borrower with the 5%, 10%, or 20% down payment option. They will get a bigger tax benefit by itemizing rather than taking the standard deduction, which they're eligible for as a renter. And if you don't want to show a tax benefit as a renter, you can eliminate that too. But I just wanted to make, full disclosure, show the full scenario, and you can choose to remove different components or not even have a conversation with your borrower about the tax benefit if you want. But I think, it's helpful for those people that are first-time home buyers because they may not know that there is a tax benefit. If you listen to both Kevin Watson and Denise Donahue, you hear their scripting on how they have those conversations. So tax benefit. And by the way, let me come into the advice engine here. This is for a single borrower, and I'll show you how that's set up here. So when you go to build a rent versus own presentation, it's a little bit different than a total cost analysis because you do need to move, this is a key button, you do need to move this from no to yes. And then as I mentioned before, you have different goals, but you also get to paint the picture of what the borrower is currently paying for rent. There's the $2,000 that I put in, and then the $45. That's why that payment was $2,045. And then there's, they've been subject to a 2% rental increase. That's probably low under the current market conditions every time their lease has gone up for renewal. But these are the different things that you want to be aware of when you do a rent versus own. Now, if you do want to have a conversation with your borrower about the tax benefit. So I put money in a savings account. I put that at 8%, not 5%. I was wrong. And I said that this is a single borrower. The standard deduction for a single borrower now is, it's indicated right over here, $12,550. These have just been updated to reflect the most recent tax laws. And the borrower is in the 22% tax bracket. When you ask your borrower, what is their tax bracket? What's the response you typically get? I don't know, right? I don't know, or too much. So if you don't know what the borrower's tax bracket is, you can click here, and this will take you to another a link that'll help you get a better estimate of what their tax bracket is. But just a tip here for you. Ask if they have a financial advisor or a CPA that you could contact to get that information, because it gives you the opportunity to form a relationship with that person and potentially get more referrals from them, especially when you show the presentation that you're going to send the mutual client. You send it to the financial advisor, provided the borrower's on board with you doing all this, but gives you the chance for referrals and also gives you the opportunity to refer them business too. So it's, two-way street. But watch what happens when I change the filing status here. So give you one more look. See the tax benefit, definitely beneficial, right? I'm going to change the filing status to married filing jointly. I'll keep them in the same tax bracket, but I'm going to increase the standard deduction to $25,100. Watch the effect that it has on the tax benefit now. So if you come over here and I'll let it update, see how it's the same amount all the way across the board, no matter what scenario that they go to, the tax benefit's the same. The reason that is that the standard deduction is going to be the most beneficial deduction for them to take. Itemizing the interest paid, the property taxes paid, mortgage insurance paid is not going to be more beneficial for them than the standard deduction based upon the current tax laws. So if you ever see that, that's just a trigger for you to recognize, so that you know that you may or may not want to have that included in the presentation. So let me just change that back to single. There we go. Okay, next conversation or item that you want to make sure that you go over with your borrowers when you're doing a first-time home buyer rent versus own. Principal paid. When they make as you know, if you own a home and you have a mortgage, the pleasure of having a mortgage, right? When you make a payment, a portion of it goes towards principal, a portion of it goes towards interest. And over time, what happens, the amount of principal increases, interest decreases. The very first payment that they make, it's going to be very small towards principal, majority towards interest. But what this is representing on the very first payment, how much of their monthly payments going towards principal reduction? Principal is like having a forced savings account. So they're making a deposit into this forced savings account, and the way that they can withdraw those funds is either in the form of a refinance, or if they were to sell the home, do like a move up, they were to take that equity and move up. So definitely a benefit, and you want to make sure that you're pointing that out. Now, when you take into consideration those two items, this is the borrower's out-of-pocket expense, what's coming out of the bank account every month. But when you take into account those two benefits, this is the net monthly payment. And you can see the net is substantially less than what they're paying for rent. And that's what's being represented up here. When you take into account the tax benefit and the amount of principal paid, this is showing the net monthly payment up here. So a little bit different than a total cost analysis presentation. And then the last benefit that you want to get good at having conversations with your clients about is net worth, or what their property could potentially appreciate to. And everybody's in a different market. We have property appreciation. I have it at 4% here. So if you're in a hotter market, you could, increase that number. Not as hot, decrease it. Just know your market and put in the appropriate factor in there. But there you go. There's an example of how you can use a first-time home buyer, rent versus own, key talking points that you want to get good at, the scripting that you can hear by these two top producing professionals that they have with their clients, Denise Donahue, and it's funny, I stopped it right where there's Dave. So here's Kevin Watson, and then Denise Donahue, also known as the Mortgage Nerd. There she is. But listen to those calls, get the scripting. And again, scripting is great. Make it your own though. Hope you enjoyed the workshop. I'm going to push one more poll here before we wrap up. And let me share this one more poll here with you. If you could take a moment and respond to this poll. Hope you got value out of the workshop. We're always looking at trying to improve this workshop for you. So if there's something that you felt like we didn't cover, that we did good, or that I did good, I should say, because I was the only one on the call today, let us know. We want to make it better for you so that, you can keep coming back to these and getting more and more content. We want to help you be more and more successful with Mortgage Coach. So let me go ahead and launch this real quick. There you go. And thanks for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join. Hope you have a great day, great week, and hope to see you in future workshops. Take care, guys. Bye-bye. Thanks for joining.